So, welcome to this presentation. Iconovo is a Swedish company, and we focus entirely on developing dry powder inhalation products. And I will explain why we are doing that. So, typically, I show this number to illustrate that about 500 million of people worldwide are suffering from diseases to the lung. That's asthma and COPD. And those diseases are chronic diseases, and they cannot be cured. So you can only manage the symptoms. And for this management, there are drugs available. And the market for those drugs is about $30 billion annually. This is a huge market and a very narrow segment, and it's very unique in a sense that about half of the market is dominated by a few products that are the big players have those. So it's AstraZeneca, GlaxoSmithKline, Boehringer Ingelheim, and Novartis. Those companies have the blockbuster products, but those products are either recently off patent or will be off patent very shortly. And typically in the pharma industry, when a product gets off patent, the generics flood in and take over the market. But that's not the case in inhalation product. And the reason is that an inhalation product comprises a dry powder, where you have the active drug, but also an inhalation device. So those two parts together is the inhalation product. And to launch and register a generic version of the original, you need to have both the powder and the device. And none of those are readily available to buy on the market. So devices you have to develop yourself. And that's a great hurdle for generic companies. It's difficult and expensive to do this. So a generic company planning on entering the market and making a generic version of the original product have several years, like 5, 6, 7 years development ahead to do both the powder and the device. This is obviously a high risk, and maybe most importantly a very, very great risk, because you don't really know if you will succeed after investing 6 years and tens of millions. So this is a great deterrent and hurdle for generics, and that's why very few generics are available, even though the products are off patent since several years. Iconovo, on the other hand, we have all this capability in-house. So we have engineering department developing our own inhalation devices. So we have our own devices, proprietary devices that we have developed ourselves and have patents on. We have a formulation department that do the dry powder formulation. We have all the equipment. We have the special labs. We control humidity, safety boxes, etc., etc. And maybe most importantly, we have the staff. So we have staff. About half of the company staff are ex-AstraZeneca, people that for decades developed dry powder inhalation products within AstraZeneca. Now they are in Iconovo doing exactly the same thing. So we have a long experience and knowledge developing dry powder inhalers. And of course we have Analytical Labs also in-house with all the instrumentation and staff to go with it. So we can develop the complete inhalation product that we then can license to our partners. So by working with us, by buying a license from us, our customers typically reduce the time to market significantly. Instead of 5, 6, 7 years, we're looking at maybe 2 years. The cost is significantly reduced because our customers only pay for the final adjustment and documentation of that specific product, so they don't pay for the entire development, because we have already done that, we have funded it ourselves, so we have a platform to begin with. So the cost is reduced, and the risk, of course, goes with it, since we have the platforms, we have devices and formulations that they can test, they can do feasibility studies, proof of concept studies, so before they sign with us, they have data to support the performance of the products, and they have much more a secure path to go to launch. So our business model is that we have deals directly with our customers, mainly generic companies. We have no agents, no distribution channels. We discuss directly with those companies, and since we have such a long experience and long presence on the market, we have a network on high-level officials in R&D and in business development on all the major pharma companies. So we already have speaking partners. We only do product development. The registration and commercial manufacturing is done by the customer, so we don't have that investment and that risk ourselves. That is done by partner. And our model is, when our deal structure revenue model is that when we sign a deal, we give some kind of upfront or access fee, granting our customers exclusivity for a certain device, drug, and territory. And then we do the development 18-24 months, and during that period we get milestone payments to cover our cost with a good margin. And then we transfer the product to the customer, and when they launch it, we get royalties on the sales. So, and that's the royalties is where we get payback on the investments we have done initially. So our customers only pay for our development once they have the product on the market and they have revenues. So it's a very win-win model and a low-risk model. So we have currently two such major deals already. One for generic Symbicort product, and one also for another product which we cannot disclose which one that is. And we have a couple of smaller deals as well. But we have two major deals, and they are valued to about the deal itself with milestones and access fees is about £3 million each. And on top of that we have the royalties. And to illustrate what kind of royalties we're looking at, we have made this exercise when we look what kind of market shares we can get and what that could be worth. So a Symbicort, generic Symbicort, is currently selling for about $1 million US dollars. It's 2018 numbers. And there are certain data and studies that show that the generic takes about 10% of the market. And that has been with the inhalation generics that are available today. They have about 10%. So if we take 10% of that billion US dollars, that is about 100 million US dollars, and our royalties are within 5 or 10% on that. So you can see that we're looking at royalties between 5 and 10 million US dollars annually for that product. Then we have another deal as well, which is in the same neighborhood. So this is how we make money today and how we make money in the future. So our platforms look like this. So we have several inhalation platforms already. So it's the top left one is our Iconovo, which is a generic version of the turbohaler. Then we have capsule inhalers, and we also have in the development the generics of the JSK GlaxoSmithKline products. Our products are protected by 6 granted patents already, and we have several more patents pending. This is the generic version of the turbohaler, and to be clear, this is not a copy. So inside it is completely different. It's our own proprietary technology inside, and the main difference is perhaps that we have a counter. So you see the turbohaler to the left. You have indicators that you have between 80 and 100 doses left. Not very accurate. We had accurate counter showing exactly how many doses you have left. And also we have an indicator showing that you have used the device correctly. And this is a major complaint from patients and caregivers on the turbohaler, that you have no feedback on having used it correctly. So we have addressed that, and we have very, very nice visual feedback. We have also already performed one clinical trial PK study to show that our product is pretty much equivalent with the original. So which is like a stake in ground, say that we are on the right path, and now we just minor fine-tuning remaining. We have now started a development of a new platform which will be a generic to the GlaxoSmithKline Ellipta family, and that's 5 products, and we are developing both the formulation and inhaler currently. So we have raised £6 million to fund this kind of development. We did that in December last year. So this is what we are doing very actively today. And finally, we have a unique kind of device. This is not for generics. This is Aiko 1. It holds 1 large dose protected inside with an aluminum foil. And this is for biomolecule vaccines, etc. So this is a very unique product. And typically a vaccine, you have a syringe with a sharp needle, which you need to inject, and that generates hazardous waste that you need to manage, and also you need a cold chain to store the drug. With the dry powder inhaler, that's not necessary because the powder is stable in room temperature. And those factors are very, very important, especially in the rural parts of the world when you have less developed infrastructure, where the hazardous waste ends up in the trash on the landfills, and the cold chain is managed by coolers with ice. And doing that, you cannot really guarantee that the vaccine survives and is treated correctly. And according to WHO, about 30% of vaccines are wasted, discarded due to lack of cold storage. So in that device, we are currently developing our first product, and it's a tuberculosis vaccine together with McMaster University. We are now in the research phase, but in a couple of years we expect a commercial partner to be part of this and take it to the next step. But and that's for vaccine, but this can be used for antibiotics, pain, biomolecules, antibodies. You have it. So it's a wide application for when you administer few doses, large doses, maybe expensive doses. So it's a very unique platform to do that. We are today on NASDAQ Stockholm, publicly traded, and we've been there 2 years now, and we have reasonably nice development of a share price, and our market cap is about £50 million. So that's me. Thank you.